Your brain can learn twice as fast as it does right now. Not because you're smarter, not because you work harder, but because you're missing one invisible skill that most people never learn. And here's the craziest part. You can watch this entire video, nod along, feel like you learned something, and forget 90% of it by tomorrow. Picture this. It's 11:47 p.m. A student sits at a desk surrounded by notes. Same chapter reread 3 times. Same highlights. Same I get it feeling. Then the test comes, and the mind goes blank. Not because the information wasn't there, but because it never became usable. You probably know that feeling. You watch tutorials. You take courses. You save posts. You feel productive. Yet a week later, you can't explain what you learned without looking it up again. Here's the unsettling part. Stanford researchers discovered that when 2 people spend the same time studying, one can end up 8 months ahead in progress over a single year. Same hours, same material, different outcome. The gap isn't talent. It's a skill that quietly decides whether your brain is building knowledge or just collecting words. The people who learn fastest often do something that looks like slowing down. They interrupt themselves. They question what feels obvious. They use the exact strategy Nobel Prize winner Richard Feynman used to master quantum physics. They catch their own mistakes before anyone else points them out. It's like they're watching their own mind from the outside. Most of us don't do that. We push forward. We confuse familiarity with mastery. We mistake confidence for accuracy. Psychologists call this the illusion of competence. Then we wonder why motivation dies. Why every new skill becomes another half-finished project. Can you explain the Stanford study I just mentioned? What was the exact finding? If you can't, you're proving my point. And that's not an insult. That's the first step to fixing it. The biggest obstacle to learning isn't forgetting. It's not knowing what you don't know. Think of your brain like a pilot in a cockpit. One pilot has a dashboard full of instruments, constantly checking altitude, fuel, and speed. The other has a blindfold on, flying straight into a cloud, trusting only gut feelings. That blindfold is why you can study for hours and still fail. Because when you can't measure your own understanding, you don't fix the right thing. You repeat what feels comfortable. You avoid what exposes weakness. Here's something wild. You're doing this right now. While watching this video, part of your brain is evaluating whether you're actually learning or just nodding along. The question is that part strong enough to tell you the truth? Neuroscience found that people who accurately judge their own performance have differences in a specific brain region. Think of it as your brain's quality control department. When it's active, you catch your own mistakes in real time. When it's weak, you believe your own lies without knowing it. Elite performers use this constantly. A chess master doesn't just calculate moves. They monitor their own biases. A surgeon scans their own fatigue because a tiny mental slip can cost a life. A medical student failed the same licensing exam twice. He studied harder each time. More hours. More notes. Same result. Then a mentor asked one question. Can you explain what you got wrong without the answer key? He couldn't. He'd been studying his strengths and avoiding his weaknesses without realizing it. 6 months later, after changing his approach, he passed in the top 15%. Most people wait for the world to correct them. A test, a boss, a failure. The fastest learners correct themselves first. Now you're ready for the name. The skill is called metacognition. It sounds technical, but it's simple. Thinking about your thinking. The ability to monitor your understanding while you learn, catch gaps early, and adjust before you waste hours going in the wrong direction. Here's what it looks like in real life. Instead of rereading notes, ask a brutal question. Can I explain this from scratch, out loud, in plain language? If you can't, you don't understand it yet. You're just familiar with it. That's not the same thing. Then go further. Predict where you'll fail before you actually fail. If your answer is foggy, that's your target. That's exactly where the learning needs to happen. This is why fast learners look slow. They stop and diagnose. They test themselves. They expose weak points on purpose. And every time they do, they create a feedback loop that compounds over time. The number one skill isn't speed reading or fancy systems. It's building an internal mirror that shows exactly what you know and what you're pretending to know. Here's my challenge. Pick one thing you're learning right now. After this video, explain it out loud without notes. The moment you stumble, smile. You just found the exact edge of your knowledge. That's where all the growth happens. What's one thing you've studied recently that you can't actually explain right now? Be honest in the comments. That confession isn't weakness. It's the first step. And if this hit you, send it to someone stuck, someone frustrated. You might change how they learn forever. Because in a world that keeps changing, metacognition isn't just a nice advantage. It's survival.